Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Lee.
And this is the YIMBY Denver Podcast. Today we're going to talk about legislative deals, dead bills, and what's next.
And on our podcast today, we have another fantastic guest, Nikita Valdez. She is an organizing manager at Centennial State Prosperity. She focuses on advocating for improved living standards for Coloradans, emphasizing fair wages, accessible healthcare, and work-life balance. Nikita's work involves connecting residents with lawmakers and utilizing personal narratives to influence legislative outcomes. This advocacy aims to foster an environment where prosperity is attainable and individual voices are amplified within the state of Colorado. We're so excited to have Nikita on today.
Well, Nikita, welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
This is so fun.
So the first time, tell me if I'm correct, I think the first time we met was during YIMBY, during the lobby day where she had a couple of teachers come out and lobby for YIMBY.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
yeah.
That was, I think, last session.
Yeah. And so YIMBY stands for Yes in God's Backyard, and that bill, again, tell me if I'm incorrect, but the aim was that it would kind of allow religious affiliated groups to sidestep bureaucratic barriers and allow housing to be built on their property.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what it is. YIMBY came out of an offshoot of YIMBY in San Diego.
Yeah.
And so they kind of were the pioneers for YIMBY. And so the bill last year would have allowed congregations to build on their land through like an administrative review process and nonprofit education systems.
Yeah, and so we know that bill unfortunately failed last session, but it did give birth to the HOME Act. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but before we do, I was hoping to hear what lessons did we learn from YIMBY and how did that help prepare us for a successful HOME Act?
Yeah, so I think we were a little nervous about calling it YIMBY, but that's kind of just what its identity was.
Yeah.
So I think we ended up calling YIMBY plus Ed, and it was the first legislative session after Trump has taken office again, and I think that just the idea of making it easier for religious institutions to build housing and then having them in charge of managing it made some people very nervous. We worked with the ACLU to make sure that there were fair protections, and even if the Supreme Court were to overturn the Fair Housing Act, that those protections would still be in place under Colorado law. But regardless of that, there were still some lawmakers that it just made very nervous, made them very nervous. So it's, I think the HOME Act ended up being such a widely popular idea because it focused on, the failure of YIMBY Ed created something that will go a lot farther and help a lot more people.
So what were people so nervous about? What were legislators worried?
Was it just the name? Was it the branding?
Well, no, I mean, that's why I bring up, Trump in the Supreme Court is, some people were nervous that, what if they used a law like this to challenge it in the courts and use something like a lawsuit like that to overturn the Fair Housing Act or allow types of discrimination again. So it wasn't just that, the land use thing.
Yes.
I think the year before we got a lot of land use bills passed and it was awesome. And I think there was a little bit of wow, we just did so many things.
Yeah. It was a really big year that year.
Yeah.
I remember. So, okay. So you've mentioned Trump being in office now. So obviously that's going to impact the culture at Cap Hill, but what was different politically this year? Why was then HOME Act successful outside of just the difference in what it did, but also what was politically different? The atmosphere, the vibes.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about how the bill improved.
Absolutely, yeah, perfectly.
To set us up for that. So the bill would allow any nonprofit to go through an administrative review process rather than a rezoning process to be able to build housing on their land. So they either needed to be a nonprofit that has a history of building housing, or they have to partner with someone who has a history of building housing. both for like congregations and for other nonprofits. A lot of times it's like Habitat for Humanity. So there's a lot of congregations that have like leased their land for like the next 200 years to Habitat for Humanity for affordable housing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there was this one church in Aurora who bought a big piece of land next to their church because they wanted to expand, and then COVID hit and their numbers shrunk instead of needing a bigger space. And they started using their parking lot as like a place that people living out of their cars could sleep. And that received a lot of backlash from the city. So they were like, okay, well, why don't we actually build some housing? And it took them like 6 years to get it rezoned.
And this is actually what I've discovered with church properties is that, first of all, they tend to be in single family zoned areas. They seem to be in suburban, like they're everywhere, but also in like,
I mean, most of America is single family zone, so it's a pretty good chance that the church will be too.
Yeah.
And as fewer people are maybe attending church less, or churches are trying to redesignate their land, they run into these issues all the time. They're like, well, I want to use this land for good. Can't. They have so much opposition from the neighbors. And if you've ever gone through a rezoning process, it is awful. You just kind of see the worst in people. And so that like is such a cool thing that this bill was allowed to do, just like not do all the rezoning.
Yeah, so
an administrative process, you said?
Yes. So that's what a lot of these bills this year were about, was just if your property qualifies for these under these certain conditions, it goes through an administrative review process instead of a rezoning process. So administrative review process is kind of what a lot of these bills this legislative session were focused on doing, which is just streamlining the like rezoning and approval of projects.
Which apparently is a huge problem.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that was a big focus.
Yeah, so I think it was the number or the percentage is 28% faster at least for these. So they still have to meet a ton of requirements. Like local governments still have the power to put in place, many things. You'll hear a lot of fear mongering about we don't have water, we don't have infrastructure, we don't have all those things. And if they really don't have all those things, it's not going to be allowed. So there's, it's the idea is just making things faster. But one thing that was different with the Home Act is because YIMBY was so focused on congregations, there was you had to have owned your land for at least 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So there was the idea was that like a developer can't, try and become a church and buy a piece of land and build whatever they want.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the Home Act, that wasn't the case.
Okay.
So now a nonprofit that builds housing or wants to partner with someone who builds housing can buy a big plot of land and they don't have to wait all those years.
Fantastic.
So,
so it is much faster.
Yes, it's much faster.
So what was politically different? Outside of the Home Act being different, was there political atmosphere change?
I think with any bill that comes back after, the first version didn't pass, there's a lot more stakeholdering that's done. There are a lot more people who are really on board from the beginning. There's always negotiation around amendments and things like that, but having, a great coalition that already put in the work last year and is ready to come back and do it again, and, you're so prepped, you have all these great people. So I think that was really successful. And just the idea in general, like we've never had this much support for a land use bill. There were some people that voted for it that like never in my last 3 years doing this job.
Wow. That's amazing. So what was some of the strongest support for Home Act? Like why?
I think there was the sponsors and the Gov's office did a lot of work with counties to make counties feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And when you can get local electeds on board, it's huge for land use. Like that's definitely the hardest thing.
They seem to be so scared of it.
Yeah. So there were a lot more counties that were supportive, a lot more local electeds, in Lakewood, in Fort Collins.
Nice.
A lot of mayors and city council members that came and testified.
And what about the opposition? What did that look like? Where did it come from?
The opposition is almost always from local governments and the Colorado Municipal League, which is kind of an organization that lobbies for the interests of local governments.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think some of the tricky parts with land use is that it doesn't necessarily matter what's in the bill sometimes. If it takes away their local control, they're uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of time there's not like specific policy to argue about, you know. A lot of things that come up are the same, like resources or infrastructure or,
it's always the same argument every single time. I mean, I just wanted to confirm that was the case this time. But
yes, it's almost always the same.
I was looking at, so we had the campaign manager for the Livable Lakewood campaign on a couple of episodes ago, and I was reading over, some comments by people who voted against it, or I guess against it. And so, it was the
voting
same.
Against
voted
keeping
for
the new
it.
goals.
Yeah, so voting for it,
Vote
but
yes to repeal.
Exactly.
Yes,
a little tricky there, but they were same thing. Like, we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the water, it'll be too much traffic. It's just always the same argument, and it's just so short-sighted because it's actually the opposite.
And from a cultural standpoint, isn't there like a long history of like local control and kind of like purple-ish politics here in Colorado?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, if we're
not to be that person.
No.
We're gonna be.
I mean, if I'm, this would be a whole nother podcast episode. But no, there's a lot of history of segregation behind zoning laws and neighborhoods and things like that.
That's literally how neighborhoods were born in the United States.
Yeah, there's a group called the Redress Movement, and they have a really cool kind of story about the history of zoning and segregation in Denver that you can go and read. Yeah. It's really cool, and it's very interesting how many like members of the KKK were in local government making these decisions in like the 30s and 40s.
I was actually so we talk about the inverted L in Denver, and so every city has some sort of history like this, and the inverted L is like that redlining zone that way back when that was was what helped birth the Denver neighborhoods. But that inverted L to this day exists in so many different ways. And so today I was getting my plants from Denver Urban Gardens, and they were.
I was there yesterday.
You took all the zucchinis. There was no zucchinis left.
No,
today.
I grew my own zucchinis.
Oh.
If you do want, I
actually do.
Girl, I have so many
Give me some zucchinis.
I will bring you a zucchini plant.
But that inverted L showed up in the parks. So they were saying like, all inside that inverted L, they didn't have enough parks. They were trying to put more in, they were fundraising to put more parks and access to green spaces there. And I thought that was interesting. Yeah. But so yes, deep history of.
Well, I mean, like in Colorado specifically too, like there's like the whole live and let live, like we're Westerners, we're independent, we're rugged. Like 10,000% yes, like racism and exclusion is big for zoning across the country. Yeah. But I think in Colorado specifically, there's like
a different layer.
There's like a different layer to it. Like I think sometimes even if it's not rooted directly in exclusion, there's like this sense of like I should be able to do exactly what I want with my land.
Individualism.
Yeah, there's like a lot of strong individualism.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think almost sometimes we can use that as like an argument for us. Like really? We have specifically like with the ADU bill 3 years ago, it's kind of like give people the right to do with their property what they want to do.
Exactly. And I think that's actually how, was it Wyoming? Montana had like some amazing YIMBY bill passed around that time, and they were using that argument almost against themselves, like you should be able to do with your property what you want, so let's get rid of all these laws. And I wish I knew more about it, but look it up, Montana. YIMBY is in Montana. So we're all curious, what were some of the behind the scenes conversations going on to help get Home Act across the line?
Well,
finish line.
Already mentioned, there's a lot of like specific negotiation with counties and local electeds, and sometimes there's little specific asks, like someone had a police training gun range in their district, and they wanted it exempt from being allowed to build those types of developments there, and that's kind of just like, we don't want people living there either. So
fair enough.
There's like little asks like that are, you know, super, super easy and reasonable. And then there has to be like larger negotiations around other things. So I'm not the detailed policy wonk. I'm a little bit more of the like get things done. So we have a lot of great people around us that, you know, do that. We work with the governor's office and a lot of other nonprofits, and Rep. Basin-Ecker is just the best. So
well, it takes both kinds of people, right? The policy nerds to get the policy, a well-written policy written, and then the people person to make sure it gets across the finish line. So the Colorado Housing Opportunities Made Easier with a Home Act was signed into law March 25th this year and aims to increase housing supply by allowing schools, nonprofits, transit agencies to build residential units on their land, overriding some local zoning regulations. It streamlines development, particularly affordable housing on up to 5-acre lots. This was a long-awaited big win for YIMBY, and we are so thankful that we were able to work with you. Nikita, I love seeing you every time I see you. I'm like, there's Nikita.
I love you guys too. No one shows up like the YIMBYs, to be honest.
Yeah, so. I mean, we are a feisty bunch.
We'll pack a room.
Yes, exactly. But specifically, I always just enjoy seeing you around, so it's nice to see you at that legislative kickoff. But this was actually, the Home Act was not the only interesting bill to hit Colorado legislation. We were also super excited about the lot splitting bill, and it was introduced this session as well. The lot splitting bill's aim was to create more affordable housing opportunities by allowing certain property owners to split their lot from 1 into 2. Unfortunately, this bill had a different end than Home Act.
Yes.
Yeah. What would the lot splitting bill have done for Colorado?
So the lot splitting bill would have allowed homeowners to separate their lots in half. The idea is that land is usually the most expensive part of buying property. And so, you know, the smaller lot, the less price, or the lower price, basically.
Yeah, you could literally double the amount of homes on a street, and these lots are huge, right? Like we need a lot of space here in America for ourselves. It's interesting. So I was pretty excited about this one.
Yeah.
But so why else could lot splitting have impacted housing affordability and even environmentalist issues in Colorado?
So this is a policy that kind of falls under the missing middle that you'll hear people talk about a lot, which is like we just don't have, we have a lot of either dense housing and just big sprawling subdivisions of huge houses.
Inverted L again.
Yes. So the idea is that you're like creating more naturally occurring housing options, more affordable naturally occurring rather than, you know,
lowercase a affordable.
Yes,
to uppercase
exactly.
A
Which we're
that's regulated and
and we're huge advocates for that lowercase a affordable housing, just like again natural, easier to build affordable housing. So, as we said, Home Act succeeded. Lot splitting ultimately didn't. Why do you think? What was the difference between these two bills?
I think a couple things. I think we got started a lot later. The Home Act was the very first bill introduced in the House this year. That's why it's 1001.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
See, learn something new.
So that's kind of a benefit of, even though it didn't, you know, our version didn't pass the year before, we came back with it just like really tight and ready to go. And lot splitting just took a lot more time, and it got introduced a lot later. And I think that, you know, there's stamina issues. Everyone's deep in session. So many people already have a lot of big priorities. And some lawmakers felt kind of like they had already voted for enough legislation that preempted local control. You know, they're very focused on preserving good relationships with their local governments.
Hopefully constituents.
I mean, constituents too, but like more specifically, it's, you know, they don't want to upset their local governments too much. And so voting for the Home Act, which so many people did, I think
they're like, I did my piece.
Yeah, I think there is, and I've also heard a couple things about, maybe lawmakers saying they have land use fatigue from how much we've done in the last couple years.
Okay. We have a huge issue here.
Yeah.
Mega problem with housing being expensive. So,
I feel like
there's a lot to be done.
Rent fatigue.
Oh yeah, the fatigue, like
all around
rent and mortgage and tax, property tax fatigue. Let's talk about that.
I think it does sound so silly, and then at the same time, I think it just shows you like how little work there was done on land use for such a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, was there a moment when it became clear to you that this bill wouldn't pass?
Yes.
Tell us all about it.
Well, we just didn't have the votes in committee, and the decision was ultimately made to lay the bill over, which is just an indication that we're not going to have people vote on it. Then we'll bring it back next year. But with it being so close to the end of session, lawmakers really appreciate you valuing their time. So we knew the bill, we didn't have the votes for the bill, and instead of, getting everyone there, we just kind of, we knew what was going to happen, which is kind of something a little similar to YIMBY. That one did pass committee, but then we didn't have the votes in the Senate.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, it's hard because it's not always about the policy, it's about the politics sometimes.
Yeah.
And
100%.
And
it's the political process.
It's exactly. And you kind of mentioned this already, but do you think Colorado still just has issues like getting rid of that single family zoning culture? Is this
I mean, I think
hesitant to
and I'm sure you talked
change.
about this with the campaign manager from Lakewood, but Lakewood, we saw how that went. And then, the year before they did something similar in Littleton. And we do a lot of work with Vibrant Littleton, who's just a fantastic, similar group to. So it's hard because a lot of these like referendums are in off years where the only people voting are the people who don't like this and who have had houses for their entire lives, who have paid a $500 mortgage or something.
Or are completely paid off and like are worried about like the value of their home affecting their nest egg, and then it's like I want to retire, I want to pass it down, I want to do all this other stuff. So it's not about like the next person, it's about protecting like their life savings, their net worth. And that's like a bigger conversation about like just how housing functions in the United States.
And it's interesting because Home Act, lot splitting bill, I mean, these aren't aggressive. I don't consider them aggressive housing policy. I mean, these are pretty modest asks, and yet we're still getting in so many barriers against this. So it's interesting, like these things. So and that's why I will say though, and there's this like, varying opposing belief in the YIMBY world of like that modest incremental change versus coming in and changing everything, right? Because I do think that incremental change, we saw that with YIMBY, right? It took a session, failed, came back super strong, out the gate, right? And so I do think, as frustrating as to watch it go slowly, incremental change is how we have to have success, and which means we have to stay engaged. So
no, I wasn't working with CSP when they tried to pass SB 213, which was like the big overhaul of land use, and that was just like a massive package and seemed to just.
It's scary.
It was it scared a lot of people. So, coming back the next year with like ADUs, TOCs, parking reforms,
which I think all passed. That was a big year. That was.
Some got a little watered down. Like I know
they did.
Parking reform wasn't as much
robust as we wanted.
But
I think it's important that we count our wins when they occur, and we definitely had a big win this session, and so that helps us to stay engaged. And again, despite lot splitting bill failing, I still count the session as a win. And I hope, and that's really what I'm curious about, so as we look to the next session, What do you think moves legislators more? Data, personal stories, or political pressure? Or all three?
Not data.
Yeah.
We actually did a study and had bipartisan numbers talking about people supporting split lots, and it's just not, it doesn't move legislators the way that you would want it to. It's helpful and it's great to tell them that, because popularity is still very important.
Yeah.
But I think politics is a lot more important. Like I said, local governments, they felt like they had kind of already done enough and they didn't want to step on any more toes. But also, constituent involvement, that's like a lot of what we work to do. And sometimes it's hard because even though we have such great partners like you guys, like Denver's not really a place where we have to push very hard for support for these bills. Like our state senator, Matt Ball, was a sponsor on split lot and minimum lot size. And so, we have great representation, but we don't necessarily have the people power in smaller or in, areas outside of Denver.
Is there a specific area maybe next year that we, like as YIMBYs? I know we have YIMBYs all over. We just need to activate them, I think.
I think we need to organize a little bit better, especially in the surrounding areas, and more rural areas, to demonstrate to them why it matters, because I think a lot of people see it as a city conversation.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I think Colorado Springs, we've talked about wanting to do more down there.
Okay.
I think,
I believe there's a chapter coming soon there.
I hope
heard
so.
Whispers about that.
Yeah.
Well, if they need help,
let
me know.
Yeah. And I assume like Parker, Castle Rock kind of into that same area, or are they pretty?
I mean, the Parker, I'm not sure about Castle Rock as much. It's been kind of like Greenwood Village, Parker, Centennial are a little bit stickier. They have some representation that is decent. Like, for example, Senator Bridges has been amazing on this stuff. But they have a lot more defensiveness about like single family zoning and stuff like that. So it's just getting people organized to the point that like they're hearing about it.
Yeah.
Like when someone knows someone's next door neighbor and their next door neighbor can be like, hey, Senator so-and-so, looking forward to this. Like just those little nuggets of like personal connections and stuff go a long way.
And this is all done best before session even starts?
Maybe in some ways, like I would say like the stakeholdering process, figuring out like what the big sticking points might be, but not necessarily, because sometimes political pressure or constituent outreach or whatever tactics we're trying to use is very like timing sensitive, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So like there's some city councils like Lakewood or Fort Collins are super friendly to this. Denver's pretty good. Littleton's pretty good, but there are other city councils that if you were to reach out and ask them to support some of these bills, do we think they're actually going to? And is that a smart decision, or are you just alerting them to a bill that they're not going to like to give them time to organize and show up to testify against it?
And see, that's the political process.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking that like with constituent support, like you want people fired up about it during voting.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like months before or after.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you want to send your action alerts, emails, calls, stuff like that, like in the days leading up to a vote.
Right.
Okay. So right as in this off session, we actually are going to be having a legislative party in June. Should we maybe write letters to senators who did vote the way we wanted? Just to like, we talk about sometimes like it's hard to make the right decision in the face of a lot of opposition. So maybe just like thanking the ones who did what voted the way we did. Is that a good move?
I think it definitely is. We've in the past we've done like when we have extra money left over, we've done like some thank you ads and things like that. Boosting like recognition for the good work that people do, I think gets you a lot of good political will. Like sometimes in the off season, we'll work with people to write op-eds or letters to the editor that are just saying like, thank you, Senator so-and-so for doing this.
Exactly.
Like we really appreciate it. And I think the goodwill goes a lot farther than maybe the negative accountability.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing we need to get a little bit more organized in the south of Colorado.
South Metro.
Well,
I mean, these are higher income areas, right?
Exactly.
And they have like a certain, again, it's like culture. It's how people relate to each other, the lives they want to live. And so I can understand how a lot of our ideas might feel like scary or threatening or like taking something away.
Yeah.
So I think more of like the neighbor and like bringing in those more familiar voices can illustrate that it's like bringing more people into the picture as opposed to taking them out.
Yes, definitely.
We don't want to do also too much yet in regards to like reaching out to senators because we don't want to alert maybe people who for sure won't vote for something. But I'm just repeating it so we have a plan, right? Because I know a lot of YIMBYs care about this stuff. I mean, this is why many of us become a YIMBY because we care so much about the policy. And so I think knowing what can we do now to help 27 be successful, I think that's actually a good point. Let's just think get organized in the South, in the burbs, and thank the legislators who did vote the way we wanted.
Strategize, celebrate.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to the terrible trivia segment of this, which...
Get ready to be stumped by extremely difficult trivia.
Or have too many easy questions and we go too fast. So that's why it's terrible. Too hard, too fast. Sometimes I get them wrong myself and call AMI the wrong thing.
Classic
acronyms,
YIMBY Denver moment.
I swear, it took me like 6 months to understand what people around me were talking about when I started
too many
this
acronyms.
job.
We probably should do a whole nother acronym thing actually again. But we're not doing that today because today we're focused on policy and legislative bills and things. And I really think actually you might have a huge leg up on Lee. So I actually think these are easy. The whole point of this though is that so we learn something so that you, my listener, don't feel left in the dark. You guys. So, whoever gets it first wins that point, and I'm going to forget how many points there are, but you guys remember, okay?
Okay.
I remember how many points I have.
Yes.
Okay. What does the HB and HB 113 stand for?
House bill.
Ooh, that was so good. You guys are so smart.
So
Both points.
Both points.
Both points.
Both points.
True or false? A bill can die even if most legislators support the idea behind it.
I mean, I would say true in terms of like what we've talked about. Like sometimes they do support something and it's not like politically smart for them to vote for it.
That's exactly right. It is true.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving the like why behind it. I love that.
That's great.
What's the nickname for the Colorado's Capitol building?
The Golden Dome.
Oh my gosh, look at you.
I don't know why I know that.
I'm so impressed,
I
Lee.
feel like that was a rookie mistake. I've never actually worked in like an office there though. So
That's what happened.
it's the Golden Dome.
I can't
Well, now I'm
believe I
gonna
knew
remember
that.
forever.
Right.
I wouldn't have gotten that.
The Golden
I just like randomly looked this stuff up.
The dome.
How many chambers are in the Colorado legislature? Two, the
House and the Senate.
House and the Senate.
3-2 or neck and neck.
Neck and neck. What's the minimum age to serve in the Colorado House of Representatives?
25.
Oh my God, Lee.
I don't know why I know this
How do
stuff.
you? We
Good
should bring you to
guess.
trivia. I would not do
like
well.
bar trivia?
Yeah, bar
I
trivia.
love bar trivia.
Yeah, let's make a bar trivia team.
I
do
am
that.
I am not good, but I will.
Well, I'm not
What
actually
about
very
you?
good either, but I might know a
I
random thing.
I enjoy it.
I want to learn.
We
That's
used
why
to
I'm
do
there.
it every Tuesday during my MBA.
Oh, so okay, so
It's really
you
sweet.
we probably talked about me and Lee just finished school last week.
Both of you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I got my third degree
congrats.
like an
Aw.
idiot. Thanks.
What was your degree?
So it was a second bachelor's in special education.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And your MBA?
And my MBA
Yeah.
at CU Boulder.
So I have technically a night free now. But
Wow.
yeah, we'll see.
So fun.
All
1
right.
degree hotter.
Thanks. True or false? Lobbyists are allowed to testify on bills.
True.
Yes.
Dang it. So that's 4-3.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm keeping track.
Okay, Lee, you got this one. If a bill is tabled, what usually happens to it?
It dies.
It dies.
Oh, I didn't have that one.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Yeah, no, it's not. I was just
It
trying
dies.
to pump you up. It dies. If it's
Well-
tabled, it's basically paused or killed.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing.
It could
Yeah.
lay
Unless,
over,
I guess we're
though,
against
right?
the bill.
Yeah, people will call it PI'd, which is postponed indefinitely.
Oh.
So sometimes they'll postpone the bill till like the day after session ends. If it's something that they want to bring back, having a vote, like having a formal vote of it not succeeding, isn't necessarily helpful. So that's kind of why.
This failed
Oh,
once before, but
interesting.
now it's back.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
Love that. See? Which branch of government signs bills into law in Colorado?
The Senate.
The executive branch,
Damn
right?
it.
Polis?
Yeah, the executive polis. Yes, the executive signs it into law. Yeah, no, it's fine. We need to watch the, what was that 70s show? A bill. Oh my God.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Schoolhouse
Oh.
Rock.
I should get a point for that.
You should. Point for Lee.
Point. Now we're tied.
Now we're tied. That was it.
Woo!
I
Yay!
didn't put a mark when I was like,
That
last
was a
question.
good one. It was like
Those were
challenging,
fun.
but not too
Exactly.
crazy.
I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Nikita, for winning our terrible trivia round this time.
Thank you.
We were so glad to chat with you. Thank you so much. This is an important conversation. A lot of us, as I said, care so much about policy. It's important for us to stay engaged, to know, like, even these small incremental changes matter. I cannot wait to work with you again.
Yeah, me too.
You're
I'm so excited.
a delight.
Oh, and also Nikita is becoming more active in the West Foch Park Neighborhood Association,
Are you
which
really?
we're both a part of.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
she is joining the Land Use and Transportation Committee, which I am chairing.
Yes.
So I'm excited to work with you more in our local neighborhood.
Oh my God, congratulations.
And pull out more of your expertise and make Denver a better place. It's so
Yes.
exciting.
Aw,
Yeah.
you're so sweet. Props to Lee for getting me to go to my first meeting.
Oh, I love
So,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you guys had some fun. that
We
night.
did have fun. There was a lot of housing and land use talk after. It was very funny.
Great.
It was a very nerdy happy hour.
Yeah.
Yes, it was so. I love nerdy happy hours. They're kind of the best.
So if you are looking to get more involved, we would love to have you. Please join our email list. You can find that on our website, YIMBYDenver.org. Also, we're going to have a legislative party celebration June 23rd. I think we're going to make sure that we follow Nikita's idea and make some letters, send a thanks to the senators who voted the way we wanted. And so we'd love to see you there. Please RSVP. We need to RSVP too, by the way. Like I haven't done it yet. Just spots are limited. Okay.
I'll be there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Exclusive.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the YIMBY Denver Podcast, where we say yes to people, yes to housing, and yes to real stories. See you next time.
Lovely.
Woo!